number on screen now. Anything you can give would help so much. It'll help us answer more calls. It'll help us rescue more animals in danger and help provide them with the urgent medical treatment, food and loving care they need. I promise we will never give up trying to save every animal we can, but we need your help now more than ever. I can assure you, your gift will help save animals' lives every day. Please call 0800 234 6054, text SAVE to 82727 or visit our website to start your monthly donation today. Thank you.
NDTV. And you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello and welcome to US Election Watch. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. This is a show that tells you all the twists and turns in the world's biggest election. But first up, the headlines this evening. Coach Tim Walz rallies Democrats at convention's third day. Walz embraces the role as the running mate of Kamala Harris and gives a pep talk at the Democratic National Convention. Meanwhile, Bill Clinton, John Legend and Oprah Winfrey complete the star-studded day 3 of the convention. Parents of one of the hostages of Gaza also shared the agony of being a hostage. Stage is set for Vice President Harris to wrap up the DNC with a nomination speech. Harris to cap the Democrat convention with a historic speech. Donald Trump slams Kamala Harris's economic agenda at a rally. Trump defends the stance on federal abortion ban. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. expected to end his presidential campaign. He is likely to endorse Donald Trump for the president. All right, it was day 3 of the Democratic National Convention. It continued in Chicago with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz accepting nomination for Vice President. Talk show host and longtime Democrat supporter Oprah Winfrey also made a very surprise appearance, and she exhorted voters to vote for quote-unquote joy. Former President Bill Clinton also took to stage and introduced Americans to Tim Walz. There was also Nancy Pelosi, former US House Speaker, pitching in for Kamala Harris. And one of the biggest themes one saw in the campaign this time around is that while at the DNC, Trump was being trashed, but his supporters were not. And that was a big departure from 2016 when Hillary Clinton had called Trump supporters everything from racist to xenophobic. She'd even called them a basket of deplorables. So clearly the Democrats have learned their lessons this time around. That's been the theme in the convention so far. And take a look at this report that takes you through all that happened on the third day of the convention.
Oprah Winfrey.
Stars continue to line up at the Democratic National Convention. Legendary talk show host Oprah Winfrey received big cheers when she made an unannounced appearance at the DNC arena. She urged the undecided voters to cast their ballots for Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris.
Let's all choose Kamala Harris!
And took a swipe at J.D. Vance's "a childless cat lady" comment.
And let us choose inclusion over retribution. Let us choose common sense over nonsense. Because that's the best of America. And let us choose the sweet promise of tomorrow over the bitter return to yesterday. We won't go back. We won't be set back, pushed back, bullied back, kicked back, we're not going back.
Former President Bill Clinton, while addressing his 12th Democratic Convention, cautioned Democrats against complacency and said that the country needs Kamala Harris as president. Reading off written notes, the 78-year-old even took a jibe at Donald Trump by saying that he is still younger than the Republican presidential nominee.
So in 2024, we got a pretty clear choice, it seems to me. Kamala Harris for the people, and the other guy who's proved even more than the first go-around that he's about me, myself, and I know which one I like better for our country.
Other than the big speeches and exciting performances by music icons such as Stevie Wonder, the crowd was witness to something poignant as the parents of a U.S. citizen held hostage by Hamas got on stage. The crowd now awaits Kamala Harris, who is set to deliver her speech on the final day of the convention on Thursday. With Vishal Vivek, Gargi Rawat for NDTV.
All right, let's get in Kane Farabao, who's reporter at Voice of America, joining me live on the broadcast. Kane, you've been tracking the convention the last 3 days. Day 4 is set to begin now. Take us through what's expected. There's, of course, Kamala Harris's big speech, but tell us, what's the mood like right now?
Well, each day here at the United Center in Chicago, the crowds have seemingly been getting bigger. Last night we tried to go on to the convention floor, and it was very difficult just to navigate it around all of the delegates, and a lot of people standing around to watch the moment in which Minnesota Governor Tim Walz was going to give his speech. So I guess at least the sense among us here in the media is that excitement or that enthusiasm and that crowd on the floor of the convention hall is going to get bigger tonight, because tonight is the marquee moment. This is when Vice President Kamala Harris is going to speak to these delegates, and because this is in prime time on television, social media feeds, digital broadcast, everybody will be watching this to see what Kamala Harris has to say about the issues that are concerning voters. Those issues are kitchen table issues like the economy, border security. Also, this is an opportunity for her to talk about the war in Gaza and her administration's or her potential administration's plans and policies to influence what's occurring there in the Middle East.
Right. And right now, as far as some of the speeches that took place in the last 3 days, the who's who of the Democrat Party solidly behind Kamala Harris, what's been the campaign like right now, and where does it go from here?
Well, actually, the campaign itself right now is in its infancy, so to speak. I mean, Kamala Harris has been a candidate less than 4 weeks, and announcing Tim Walz as her running mate has actually occurred in the last couple of weeks. So what happens here on the convention floor is really the scene setter, or the stage presence. What has to happen when they are done here, which will happen tonight, is they will have to articulate these positions to the general public on the campaign trail, and they have less than 80 days to do that. The election is in November. It's November 5th here in the United States. But something that we should also point out, the deadline is not November 5th. People are going to start voting in September. Early ballots can be cast in Pennsylvania starting on September 17th, I believe. And so the decision that voters will make, and what we're talking about here, are independent or unaligned voters. Those independents, or those people that don't belong to a political party, the Republicans or the Democrats, these independent voters are the ones that these candidates are going to have to try to convince to support them if they're going to succeed in the November election. That's really who these campaign messages are targeting. This convention is meant to get all of the Democrats shored up behind their nominees. It was also the same for the Republicans in Milwaukee last month. And so now the stage will be set for these candidates to get out on the campaign trail and start talking about the issues that these independent voters want to hear about, so that they can convince them to cast their ballot for their candidate.
Right. And after, now that, of course, it is going to culminate with Kamala Harris speech, and she officially, of course, has been nominated as the Democrat candidate. What could be lined up for this, along with it? Any other, there was the surprise appearance of Oprah Winfrey. Any other surprises lined up for the final day?
Well, I mean, I think that we've all heard that the performing artist Pink, she is going to perform tonight. Also, there's some interesting speakers tonight. Republican Congressman, who is now out of Congress, Adam Kinzinger, who was on the January 6th committee. He was also somebody vocally opposed to President Trump. He voted for President Trump's impeachment. He is going to speak relatively close to when Vice President Kamala Harris gives her acceptance speech. And so I think that there's going to be a lot of attentiveness into all of the speeches that are happening here. But of course, these performers are also the things that get people energized and get people excited. And so we'll see what happens here on the convention floor tonight.
Absolutely. Kane Faribault, thanks much for speaking to me and taking us through all that is lined up for day 4. And we're going to keep coming back to you as we track that convention closely. Thanks much. In an emotional speech, in fact, Tim Walz officially became the vice president nominee of the Democrat Party on day 3 of the convention in the upcoming U.S. election slated for 5th of November. He was cheered by the high school football team he once coached. And take a look at this report that tells you all in terms of the challenges that he may face as he transitions from a small-time politician to the high-stakes electoral battle ahead of him.
When we fight, when we fight, when we fight.
U.S. Vice Presidential nominee Tim Walz, in unison with the crowd at the Democratic National Convention, the biggest stage of his career. The Minnesota governor said that it's the honor of his life to accept the nomination for vice president, adding that the Democrats will turn the page of Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump.
That's how we'll build a country where workers come first. Healthcare and housing are human rights. And the government stays the hell out of your bedroom.
Walz's walk-off song was Neil Young's Rockin' in the Free World, as he was joined by his family on the stage. While it is safe to say that Walz had a good outing during his big stage debut, there are several challenges that remain for the firebrand politician. The Walz has been catapulted onto the biggest stage. The American public is still getting to know him. In fact, reports say that about 4 in 10 Americans don't know enough about him. Attracting rural voters to the Democratic Party seems to be one of the primary reasons for Walz sealing the nomination. However, reports suggest that he has had limited access in rural contests. But he does seem to be doing better than the Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance. A recent Washington Post poll on the two nominees' popularity shows that Walz has secured a marginal advantage among voters across the United States. The Minnesota governor has started off well, but the race is far from over. With Vishal Vivek, Parmeshwar Bava for NDTV World.
All right, Rael Locker, author and journalist, joins me live on the broadcast to talk to us about where the election is right now. The Democrat convention all set for day 4, and of course Tim Walz as well, who's transitioned from a little known politician to, of course, now being on the big stage. And Ray, that's my first question. The reports seem to suggest that one of his biggest USPs was that he could really drive home the point and penetrate into the rural areas as far as America is concerned. And reports seem to suggest that hasn't been the case so far.
Well, it's really tough for a vice presidential nominee to make a difference anywhere. People don't vote for the vice presidential nominee. At worst, the nominee is a distraction or a net negative. I mean, we saw that with Sarah Palin in 2008. Some people liked her, a lot of people didn't. I think J.D. Vance is on that same trajectory. So I think, Walz helps Harris somewhat in these rural areas, but when you look at the way voting has gone in the last few presidential elections, a lot of rural America votes solidly Republican. And maybe Walz makes a percentage point or 2 difference in some of those areas, but I don't think much more.
And how's the election stacked now? All that's left, of course, is Kamala Harris's big speech in terms of accepting the nomination. But beyond that, all the big guns have come out in support of her, and the messaging has pretty much been the same, that they've trashed Trump but haven't trashed his supporters, and that's a departure from 2016 and the basket of deplorables that Hillary Clinton had mentioned, isn't it?
Right. Oh, it's a big difference. I think, look, the way this country succeeds is if you can talk to people of all different ideological persuasions. We're all Americans, we're all human beings. And I think this campaign and this convention recognizes that. Whereas I don't think that the Republican National Convention last month in Milwaukee did that at all. And if you listen to what Trump says in any of his campaign appearances, that's not the way he talks. So it's important for a successful campaign to be upbeat and to reach out to people and not try to rule out anybody. Look, you don't know who's going to vote for you or not. You have a decent idea, but people's voting decisions go all over the map. I mean, when you look at 2016, we had a bunch of counties in this country that had voted for Barack Obama twice in 2008 and 2012, and then voted for Trump. I mean, two diametrically different people. So it's really hard to predict how things go, but you don't win by ruling out a bunch of people.
Indeed. And what are you expecting from Kamala Harris's speech? Because that's all that's left of the convention, isn't it?
I think she'll meet the moment. Everybody knows it's a big speech. I'm sure she's been working on it. She's given big speeches before, none as big as this. But I think she'll meet the moment, and I think she'll have a good, lead-in act with some of the other speakers like Gretchen Whitmer, Adam Kinzinger. So she'll come out on a high, and this convention will end up on a high note. And then it's off to a variety of campaign appearances in swing states. I imagine they'll hit those on Friday. And throughout the weekend, they capitalize on the media attention they're going to get. And then she's got to prepare for the September 10th debate with Trump.
And lastly, it's about reaching out to some of those undecided voters, isn't it? Because even in the 2020 election, it really came down to those undecided voters and those swing states. And how is she going to reach out to those undecided voters this time around?
Well, I think when you look at the ground game that the Democrats have lined up in these swing states, like Pennsylvania, they have 15 field offices. Trump has 1. And those are people who are going out, knocking on doors and talking to people and making sure people get out to vote. And when you have states like Virginia, for example, that has early voting, people know who voted and who has yet to vote. So they keep going back to the people who are on their list who haven't voted yet to make sure they get out and vote. That can be very effective. I worked on some stories in 2012 when I was at USA Today about how well the Obama campaign did that in states like Nevada. Keep going back to those people who haven't voted to make sure that they do vote.
Okay.
And I think that the Democrats, based on what I've seen so far, have a much better ground game than the Republicans do. And in a close election, that can really make a big difference.
All right, Ray Locker, let's leave it there. Thanks much for speaking to me. It all comes down to voter mapping in every election, doesn't it? We're going to keep coming back as we track that election in greater detail. In fact, one of the most contentious issues in American politics has been around the issue of abortion, reproductive rights of women against pro-life campaigners essentially coming from their Christian beliefs. Kamala Harris has called on Congress to pass legislation guaranteeing federal law abortion access, a right that stood for nearly 50 years before being overturned by the Supreme Court. And she's promoted the administration's efforts short of a federal law, including steps to protect women who travel to obtain abortions and limit how law enforcement collects medical records. Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump has said that he believes the procedure should be restricted and announced last spring that decisions on access and cutoffs should in fact be left best to states. Trump said that he would not sign a national abortion ban into law this time around. That, remember, is one of the key issues on which the election is set to be divided, and that's exactly what we would now do a deep dive on. Where does American politics stand as far as abortion is concerned? But first, listen in to what Oprah Winfrey said on this, and we come back and discuss this in detail.
Over the last couple of nights, we have all seen brave people walk onto the stage and share their most private pain. Amanda and Josh, Caitlin, Hadley, they told us their stories of rape and incest and near-death experiences from having the state deny them the abortion that their doctor explained was medically necessary. And they've told us these things for one reason, and that is to keep what happened to them from happening to anybody else. Because if you do not have autonomy over this, if you cannot control when and how you choose to bring your children into this world and how they are raised and supported, there is no American dream.
All right, that's a question. Let's take to Joshua Wilson, joining us on the broadcast, Professor of Political Science, University of Denver. Mr. Wilson, morning to you. And the question is, it boils down to abortion, doesn't it? And large pockets of America, that could be a key issue on which voters would decide.
Yeah, both campaigns really need to work on mobilization. So getting voters not just to side with them, but to actually turn out. And Democrats have really seen since the overturning of Roe versus Wade that abortion is one way to really mobilize their voters. And so this is a really central issue for the Democratic Party.
It indeed is. Let's take our viewers through some of the key facts, which is that 22 states ban or restrict abortion. 14 states have enacted near total abortion ban. And millions of girls and women are denied abortion care. Nearly 1 in 5 travel out of their state for abortion care. And there are, of course, possible penalties that could be imposed from imprisonment to medical license suspension. So which are the swing states, Dr. Wilson, that you think this could actually be of great significance? Because that's where it boils down to.
Yeah, so really there's a lot of discussion around Arizona and what's called the blue wall, also with Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania. And so when you showed that map just a little while ago there, Arizona is one of the states that actually has...
Let's keep that map on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Arizona is one of the states that actually has abortion on the ballot. And so the hope there, right, for the Democratic Party is that you're not only bringing voters to come talk or to come vote on the presidency, but you're really getting them to come out also and vote directly on abortion. So that those two topics can be, mutually reinforcing there. But really this election is going to boil down to a handful of states. We know that abortion has been a winning issue for Democrats. It's been a very problematic issue for Republicans. And the margins are so close in this election that the Democratic Party is really hoping that focusing on abortion, making reproductive rights a real central issue, that it'll matter enough, that you can get enough voters out and voting for not just abortion, but for a slate of Democratic candidates.
Is there some dilution in Trump's position as well, from saying that there could be a ban to saying that, I leave it on to the states?
Yeah, so it's really interesting to see the way that Trump is running on abortion now versus the way that Trump ran on abortion back in 2016, right? In 2016, he had the position of being able to talk about abortion, that he was going to overturn abortion by appointing new justices to the Supreme Court. And, that was able to turn out Republican voters. That was a real winning strategy to get those Republican voters to turn out. Now we're seeing that the Trump campaign and Republicans have learned since Roe versus Wade was overturned in the Dobbs decision that abortion is deeply problematic for them. And so Trump is trying to walk this line between saying that he's kind of not going to do anything else, that this is now up to the states, and as we saw in the debate, falsely saying that, the majority of people in the U.S. wanted this. So he's trying to walk this line where he doesn't completely disavow his old position, but he's trying to make the election about something else. Like he would much rather talk about immigration and crime and would be very happy not having to talk about abortion at all, which again is why the Democratic Party is keeping the issue front and center. It's good for their party, it's bad for the Republicans.
Indeed, a key issue on which America will be voting on the 5th of November. Ballot votes, of course, start much sooner than that. Appreciate you joining us on the broadcast with that perspective, Professor Joshua Wilson. All right, in fact, let's take a look at what's lined up for day 4 of the Democrat National Convention, the final day. What to expect? Well, Kamala Harris will be headlining day 4 of the convention. It will culminate with her speech. She will be taking center stage with a speech that will mark her formal acceptance of the presidential nomination. Remember, she's already been nominated with a virtual roll call that took place earlier, but that physical aspect of officially taking on the nomination, that big speech, all that is lined up for day 4. That's going to mark the end of this star-studded Democrat National Convention, and she's set to speak in terms of what she plans and as her vision, as her future agenda and her policy agenda for her presidency. Several governors and senators are also set to speak on the final day, and pop star Pink will also be there in terms of wrapping up the star-studded Democrat convention. As I said, there could be some protests as well, and let's see, and it remains to be seen whether they actually grab any headlines, or will it be Kamala Harris all the way. All right, shifting focus from the Democrat National Convention to Kamala Harris's opponent, Donald Trump, who slammed Tim Walz's speech. Remember, today was his acceptance speech, day 3, and Donald Trump has called Walz a total lightweight on Fox and Friends. He said that Tim Walz has no capability and said that he shouldn't have access to possibly becoming president. Remember, vice presidents, of course, become president in the event that the president is incapacitated. And to that is what Donald Trump has responded, and he's also distanced himself from Project 2025, something that Democrats keep mentioning again and again. And Trump said that it was disgraceful for Walz to connect him to Project 2025. All right, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of US Election Watch. Thanks so much for watching.
At Vodafone, experience the epic Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra and you can save a huge £720. It's absolutely stacked with features. Search by circling anything on screen. Circle it, find it, using Circle to search with Google. Hurry, ends 22nd of August. Vodafone, the nation's network.
Do you need to borrow money for home improvements, a car? Then you've come to the right place. Everyday Loans. Just tell us how much you want to borrow, up to £15,000. At Everyday Loans, we offer a service that's friendly and reliable. Apply online or on your phone. Representative APR 99.9%. Apply now at everydayloans.co.uk.
Look at it for tonight, please.
Oh, these numbers could mean...
Glory for Great Britain!
Just the person I wanted to see.
God save Susan.
There's power when you play. Power to change her life, his life, their lives. Even this, fellas. By playing the National Lottery, you've helped fund Team GB's and Paralympics GB's journey. The National Lottery, changing lives every day.
Magic family moments deserve the perfect setting. A stylish awning from House is the ideal addition to your outdoor space. Available in a range of colours and finishes, and with the option of integrated lighting and heating, you can enjoy your outdoor space for even longer. Now that is magic. House awnings, made for life.
What's better than just losing weight? Feeling good about it. Medication and coaching with Voy.
Be unstoppable with Virgin Media's M250 broadband on our reliable network. Just $28.99 a month with no setup fee. So why glitch when you can glide? Virgin Media. See what you can do. Visit virginmedia.com.
Bingo lovers, it's time for a close encounter with Bingo Aliens. Visit bingoaliens.com/bingo for a cosmic range of bingo games. 75-ball bingo, even 90-ball bingo. All from a galaxy far away, direct to you. taking bingo to another dimension at bingoaliens.com/bingo.
Have you ever considered what might happen if you didn't feel that way about yourself?
I guess I didn't even think it was possible. I've just felt this way for so long.
Well, of course it is. You're here, so surely part of you believes it's possible, right?
The all-new Temper Pro, our most adaptive mattress ever. Born from NASA technology, billions of ultra-sensitive cells relieving even more pressure for ultimate comfort and support. Now available with SmartCool technology. Temper, the future of sleep is here.
We know travel can be confusing. That's why I use travelup.com. You can upgrade your seat, one way or return, increase your baggage allowance, filter by flight time, journey duration, and customer rating. And while you're away, TravelUp has you covered. From weather updates and on-demand taxi services to event and excursion tickets, all at your fingertips. Book now on travelup.com or call 0207 580 5000. TravelUp, flights, hotels, holidays.
This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Resident doctors end protests after 2 weeks. Doctors call off the strike after the Supreme Court's appeal, but undeterred, the Kolkata doctors to continue their protests. Meanwhile, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee writes to the Prime Minister on rising rape cases. Never seen a case like this. The Supreme Court judge comments on the Kolkata horror. This is the Supreme Court wraps Bengal and the Bengal government on delay in FIR and police lapses. The Supreme Court says the role of the top Kolkata police officer and the hospital administration is suspicious. The Bombay High Court's damning remarks. The Bombay High Court says the right to education is pointless if schools are unsafe. This is the court slams the police on the Thane school sexual abuse. The High Court says the police action happened only after protests and outcry. No solution in the battlefield. The Prime Minister reiterates his not an era for war remarks in Warsaw. This as the Prime Minister departs for his historic visit to war-torn Ukraine. The Prime Minister is set to meet President Zelensky in the war zone tomorrow. 17 people have died in Andhra's worst ever industrial disaster in the Andhra Pharma blast. Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu visits the injured, expresses grief. He says we want investment but also safety. The Chief Minister tells NDTV the systems have been destroyed in the last 5 years. Hello and welcome to watching the 10 o'clock news. I am Vedanta Agarwal. Our lead story, well, politics over the horrific rape and murder incident in Kolkata. But this, as doctors have now called off their strikes. Well, top doctors' bodies across the country have now decided to withdraw their protests. This after the Supreme Court appealed to doctors, including FODA, which is the central body for resident doctors. But remember, the Kolkata doctors will continue to protest. Undeterred, they've been on the streets for almost 2 weeks and they continue to protest on the streets of Kolkata. This is politics continues. Well, today in Kolkata, we saw the BJP leaders take to the streets. There were dramatic scenes unfolding with several of the top BJP leaders in the state also being detained. My colleague Tanushka reports.
As students of the RG Kar Medical College and Hospital watched the Supreme Court hearing, CISF forces were deployed at the hospital according to the court directives.
You can see we have already deployed. So you can guess from our deployment. Let us do our job. You will find our people have come. We have deployed ourselves.
Are you setting up a control room too?
It will all happen. It will all happen.
Meanwhile, CBI heat continued on former principal of RG Medical College as he was interrogated for the 7th consecutive day. The court too has granted permission for a polygraph test on Sandeep Ghosh and 4 doctors of the hospital. The CBI has seized Sandeep Ghosh's car, which the hospital had given him. His mobile phone too is with the CBI. Amid the investigation into the rape and murder case of the 31-year-old doctor, political crossfire continues between the BJP and the TMC. The BJP held a massive rally in Kolkata against the Trinamool Congress.
It has been proved in the Supreme Court today and few days ago, 2 days ago, when Supreme Court stated their observation. In those observations also, they have totally indicated, clearly indicated that this state government has manipulated the things.
Mamata Banerjee has written to the Prime Minister, urging him to formulate stringent laws and set up fast-track courts for rape cases. And for the first time since his post on the mob vandalism at the medical college, Abhishek Banerjee made a statement on the need for a lasting solution. Amid politics brewing over the rape and murder case at RG Medical College and Hospital, the Supreme Court has stood a strong ground for the doctors. While other doctors' associations have called off their strike, the student body at RG Medical College continues to protest. And what remains at the heart of the issue is the brutal loss of a life. And only one question resonates: when will justice be served? With camera person Ashwini Mehra, this is Tanushka Datta for NDTV.
Absolutely unfortunate there, but why do courts have to intervene to make sure that probes and investigations are swift when it comes to cases of women's safety? Well, while the Supreme Court in the Kolkata case made strong observations, including questioning the Bengal government on delay in the FIR and also lapses on the part of the police, the Bombay High Court took suo motu cognizance of the Thane school sexual abuse in which 2 minors were sexually assaulted. It was a kindergarten school where this incident took place. The Bombay High Court said that if schools are also not safe for our children, then right to education is pointless. Take a look.
Tough words from Supreme Court as it asked pertinent questions on the lapses by the Kolkata police in the handling of the murder of a resident doctor at RG Kaur Hospital in Kolkata.
This is something which even the Criminal Procedure Code doesn't prescribe.
Yes, exactly.
The entire procedure which has been
Your
followed by your police,
Yes.
police of the state, it is something which at least I have not come across.
Yes.
In 30 years of my...
I know. Right. I appreciate it. But Manoj, the facts must be before your lordship's mind. That's the important thing.
Doubts over the investigation and handling prompted the court to ask for an officer of the Kolkata police to be present to explain various facets of the case and investigation in the next hearing. The exchange between the Kolkata police and the CBI and the centre took a political turn, prompting the Chief Justice to intervene and urging both parties to stop politicizing the case.
What we would also expect,
Yes.
please don't politicize
Exactly.
it.
So Bindu has said bullets will be fired.
Across the political spectrum,
Yes.
parties have to realize, don't politicize.
That's
exactly.
exactly.
The law will take its course. The law will take its course, and we are ensuring that the law does take its course after a quick and efficient investigation.
The primary focus was, however, for doctors to resume work, and the Chief Justice of India assured them on the steps being taken for their safety and clarified that there would be no victimization for participating in the protests. With doctors calling off the strike, the Supreme Court will now hear the matter on the 5th of September next month, where it will take stock of the steps it has taken apart from the investigation being conducted by the CBI. This hopefully will reassure doctors that the top court is interested in finding an early resolution to this problem. In the Bombay High Court too, a similar scene played out. The court slammed the Maharashtra police for lapses in investigating the case of sexual abuse of 2 4-year-old girls at a school in Thane's Badlapur. Remember, both the Supreme Court as well as the Bombay High Court took suo motu cognizance of the 2 horrific cases of rape and molestation, one involving a resident doctor on duty and another 2 kindergarten students, in a school in Badlapur. The Bombay High Court bench said these girls have complained, but several cases go unreported. It needs huge amount of courage to speak about all this. Definitely the police hasn't played its role the way it ought to be. Had the police been sensitized, this wouldn't have happened. The bench also slammed the Badlapur police for the delay in recording one of the victim's statements as well as the delay in registration of the case. Both cases beg the question, is judicial alacrity in picking up cases a sign of crumbling governance? With Radhika Ramaswamy, Sunil Prabhu, NDTV.
And we're moving now to some other news. Well, the women wrestlers who are set to testify in the sexual assault case involving ex-WFI Chief Brij Sharan Singh have demanded security. This after the police had withdrawn extra security given to these women wrestlers who are key witnesses in this sexual assault case. The court, of course, has now instructed the police to reinstate their security. My colleague Ishika Verma is now joining us live on the phone line. So Ishika, tell us the significance of the development that will take place tomorrow, because this has been a rather murky case given the fact that there was all this back and forth as far as witnesses were concerned, and Brij Sharan Singh has already been framed in this particular case.
Well, yes, in fact, Vedant, as you rightly mentioned, that this case certainly has been very controversial. And if we talk about the developments, there's certainly this big development has now come in. The court, in fact, the Rouse Avenue Court was hearing an application where 3 wrestlers who had approached the Rouse Avenue Court, they had alleged that their security was withdrawn by the Delhi police. And one among these 3 wrestlers has to testify in the court tomorrow. Now, after hearing this case, now the Rouse Avenue Court, in fact, has passed an interim order, and the court has said that as an interim measure to ensure the safety of victim number 4, the DCP concerned is directed to make immediate and appropriate arrangements for her security until her deposition is complete and until further orders from this court. So certainly this is a big development because, let me also tell you that Vinesh Fogart also in fact had tweeted regarding this this evening itself. So this is certainly a big relief for those 3 wrestlers and especially for the one who's going to testify in the court tomorrow. Over to you.
All right, Ishika, thanks very much for joining us with the latest there. So one of those 3 women wrestlers will be testifying tomorrow in this crucial case. With that, we'll take a short break now, but news continues on the other side.
This all started with one simple idea: to put high-quality watches within everyone's reach. We knew to do this, our English design needed Swiss precision. Never heard of us? Christopher Ward. Do your research.
Well, hello there, residents of the nation. Jetting off somewhere or enjoying some time at home? Just remember one important thing. It's People's Postcode Lottery's scintillating September draws. You could win a share of £18.5 million. Sign up before midnight on the 31st of August. If we come knocking with a share of £18.5 million, it might just make your summer a little sunnier. Well, in Britain, umbrellas are a fashion accessory.
Wouldn't life be so much easier if you could control your blinds at the touch of a button? With Ultra Smart Blinds from Appeal, there's no chains, cords or wiring because these stylish blinds are driven by a rechargeable power pack. New Ultra Smart Blinds from Appeal, the intelligent solution for home shading.
Save up to £539 on your car insurance. He's just used Confused. JustUsedConfused.com.
Get that Lucky Cow feeling with luckycowbingo.com/bingo, the site that's bursting with beautiful bingo games. That's luckycowbingo.com/bingo.
I'll do the travel arrangements this time.
Okay, just call Self4 Travel.
I've got this.
When you try to make travel arrangements yourself, things can get complicated. With multiple airlines, hotels, and booking sites, the choice can be overwhelming. Trying to fit everything together can drive you up the wall.
I give up.
Hello, Southall Travel. Southall Travel can help you arrange flights and package holidays anywhere in the world. Call us 24/7 for the best prices and impartial advice. Done.
I'll do the packing.
9-year-old Archana wishes she could see her mother's face, wishes she could look into her eyes. But because of cataracts, this little girl could be blind for life. Please, will you grant a child's wish and help give them their sight? You can by visiting sightsavers.tv and giving just £2 a month. When you do, you'll help a child with sight loss get treatment for cataracts. So please visit sightsavers.tv or text WISH14 to 78866 and give just £2 a month. Because all Archana wishes for is to be able to see. Please help make her wish come true.
Do you need to borrow money? Then you've come to the right place. Everyday Loans. Representative APR 99.9%. Apply now at everydayloans.co.uk.
Well, looking at news now from Karnataka, well, the BJP versus Congress flashpoint only intensifying over the alleged land scam. Well, the BJP staged protests across the state over the alleged Muda scam in which the Chief Minister is now in the dock. The Congress says it's just hypocrisy. Well, remember, Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has also been given the nod to be prosecuted. In fact, the Governor gave the nod for prosecution as far as Chief Minister Siddaramaiah is concerned. Take a look at what the Deputy Chief Minister had to say and this report by Pratibha.
All the parliament members, legislators, MLCs, all of us met today. The entire legislative party decided we wholeheartedly stand by the leadership of Mr. Siddaramaiah. At any point of time, he is our leader, he will be our leader. So we condemn the decision taken by the governor. We have already appealed to the court of law. We have confidence that we will get justice. Injustice will not be flown from the seat of justice. We know that the court will respect our sentiments. Mr. Siddaramaiah has not done any mistake in it. It is only a political which is being going on.
Just as Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah convened a cabinet meeting to line up his counter strategy before heading to Delhi to meet the Congress High Command, the BJP staged a protest condemning the Congress's action against the governor and seeking the resignation of Siddaramaiah.
We want the resignation of the Honorable Chief Minister, Mrs. Siddaramaiah. He's been caught red-handed with regard to the corruption. We are demanding the resignation. Our fight will go on until he resigns.
The Congress in its cabinet meeting decided to provide aid and advice to the governor regarding the 4 pending cases against BJP and JDS leaders. They also condemned the BJP protest.
Last time when Yediyurappa ji was given the governor's sanction for prosecution, BJP stages anti-governor protest in Karnataka. They called for a Karnataka Bandh when they were in power. Have we said anything like that?
The day ended with a legislature party meeting of the Congress, seen as a show of strength and solidarity with the Chief Minister, a message that Siddaramaiah would like to convey to the High Command before meeting them in Delhi tomorrow. With camera persons Kumar and Govind, Pratibha Raman in Bengaluru for NDTV.
And news now from Andhra Pradesh, well, in what has been the worst industry disaster in almost a decade. 13 people have died and over 30 have been injured. In fact, the death toll has now risen to 17 in this factory reactor blast in Andhra Pradesh. These are visuals of Chief Minister meeting the families of the victims and also the injured there at the local hospital. In fact, my colleague Uma Sudhir spoke to Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu. He says we want industry, but we also want safety norms to be ensured. Take a look.
It has been described as one of the worst industrial disasters. I have with me Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, Chief Minister. Sir, you have just visited all the